Last term, I had the worst academic rut that I've ever been in. In fact, it was so bad, I didn't even want to look at a paper for the holidays afterwards. The term begins, week 2. We have a big English test. It's a statewide test. Everybody does it, and it's actually considered quite easy. Most people pass anyways, and so I thought that I could just put in a little bit of effort and get the mark. I go in there, fully underestimating the test, but still putting in the best I could in that test. I get my marks back. The way it's scaled, the way it's marked is, it's 4 levels, right? 3 and 4 are pass, 1 and 2 are fails. I got a level 2. Some of the dumbest people in my class, some of the lowest ranked students in my grade passed that test. And I was over there failing a test that you're supposed to pass without even studying. Then, weeks 3 and 6, I take a pretty big science and history test. Now, usually I don't study, but since I've picked my subjects, and I've actually picked science and history for next year's subjects, I wanted to do pretty good in these subjects. So I actually put in some time to study, right? I go into those tests, and in history, I nearly fail. Science, I get a C. And the people who copied off me, that looked at my paper and copied my answers, got a higher mark than me. How is that even possible? I don't even talk about it. If all of that wasn't enough, all of the unfinished work, all of the homework, all of the forms I had to do, all of the emails I had to respond to, everything that I had, all piled up on me in the same span of the term. I was filled with stress that I didn't have enough time to do everything that I needed to do and study for my tests. And so I left them all to the last minute, and it caused a lot of stress for me. This may have even led to what happened next, which was the math test. Now, by this point, I was actually doing pretty good in maths. We'd already had 2 tests and I was first place. However, that confidence, it got to me. And because I was already first, I didn't think that I needed to study more. And so instead what I did is I studied a little bit and I focused more on just solving questions that interested me, because I thought that since I'm already number 1, I didn't need to actually study what I had to and put in the effort as I used to. Now this hit me very, very hard, because when I got my results back, a kid who wasn't even considered in the top 5 for the first couple tests came out of nowhere and beat me. So yeah, this test was terrible. I hated it. I hated this term, and I wish that I could undo it until the term ended. You see, there's an ideology, right, that what you get in life was already predetermined, and that everything that you do was already going to happen. Now, this was actually somewhat the mindset I had. I believed that I could just do whatever I wanted, and what was going to come was always going to come. This is the reason that in the English test, I decided I didn't really need to study, because I knew I was smart enough to pass the test. I thought I was smart enough. The science, I thought if I just put in effort, then it'll mean that I have to get good grades. All the unfinished work, I thought that it would just eventually do itself, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But the truth is that all these bad things happened to me, and none of it was coincidence. Everything that happened to me was because of me. Sometimes you get dealt a hand, and although you can't change what you're dealt, you can change how you play that hand. Although I did get those bad marks, I did leave all that work to the last minute, it did cause all that stress. It did something better than giving me a grade on a piece of paper. And that is, it taught me a lesson on how to play my cards better next time. I can't control what the teacher is going to give me, but I can control how much I study for the test. I can't control how I perform on the day of the test, but what I can control is how prepared I am for the test. In every situation, there is a good outcome. With the English test, even though I failed, it taught me a valuable lesson on neglecting a subject. And then, for the next test, I went and studied even more, and I ended up getting 100% on the next test. That math test, although I did bad in the third one, I'm still pretty high ranked because of my first 2 tests. So now that I understand that I need to put in the effort and work on my fluency, I'm putting in the effort now so that I can stay first or get back to where I was. For science and history, I realized that it's not just about how much you study, but how you study, using your time effectively. So then, in the next 2 tests, I studied more efficiently, even if I studied less. And those 2 tests, for both history and science, my marks went up 30% each. So whenever you're going through something that is truly just annoying, where you feel like you want to just drop out of school and become a bricklayer, remember, sometimes a failing mark can be more valuable than an outstanding mark, because the lessons they give you can last your whole life. That is why I made this video, because I understand that being a student can be very, very stressful. Your value is put in your marks. Your marks is dependent on how much effort and time you put into studying. And so the only way to be valuable is to give up your life. But the truth is that there is more to studying, and there's way more to life than studying. And that is why I made this channel. Now, if you're going to take anything from this video, it should not be to go and fail a test. But what it should be to do is two major things. The first is to understand that even when you can't change what's around you, you can change how you react to what's around you. And the second is that a failure can be more valuable than a success. I made this channel to help people have a life outside of studying, to make studying enjoyable, to make school something that you will want to show up and do every day and actually enjoy studying. So if you want that and you want that for your life, then watch more of our videos, subscribe to the channel and join the movement, because life is too short to drown in studies. Thank you for your time and use it wisely.